I decided I'd introduce myself after this first piece, since I was going to do two of them. Since we talking about struggle and how the labor movement, actually grew and turned into what it is, I decided to speak from a modern perspective about struggle, and then you'll see why after I speak this. The name of this piece is called The School of Hard Knocks. They say the school of hard knocks breeds triumph and loss. To some, it's looked at as vitally defining our source. It's like a ghetto Columbine, realizing our thoughts, pursuing life through a street-implied high school course. We got history, everything from back in the days, the who and when, what and how, why, and is it okays. Homeroom social studies where we gossip and brag about essential world things we either wanted or had. From the whips to the new heat to jackets and sneaks to the chicks who had the cutest features back to the streets. Then it's off the wood shop where we break down trees and a $5 box of peg-shaped brown leaves. Seeing hell through a cloud that we can't all breathe, flipping red, blue, and orange hair in 8-pound weaves. Hood scientists, we formulate the coils of fact with a jar of cold water, plate, stove, and a match. Once the pot is warm enough to make the oils come back, we turn the 1/4 ounce of spoiled baking soda to crack. Here is fundamental math, reading the scale with precision. That's another reason why our teachers tell us to listen. When we buy, we multiply. When we sell, it's division. When we try to customize it with B12, it's addition. When it's dry, we in geometry appraising the shapes, trying to keep a steady posture till the angle is straight. Squeezing tight, because when it's hard, we think the razor's gonna break, but still we idle these philosophies of saving the shake. Headed right to trigonometry of brazen the stakes, where we slide through geography with atheists and cakes. Government and criminology should speak for itself, as opposed to getting a scholarship in physical health, where it's all about the differences of woman and man, and everybody and their mamas get an oral exam. Here it's safe to wear a condom every term you engage in the aim against gonorrhea, herpes, and AIDS, as the chicks make their dollars at the earliest age, in a cage up in dance hall, working the stage, where they fake orgasm to bolster their stats, letting us spank them from behind while we blow out their backs. Like they really got us gas because they open their gaps, but some women stay in drama class, so we know how they act. In the gym is where we hide, hoping not to be seen, and where we hustle night to morning on the varsity team. Winter months, they're kind of boring until we start to see green or all those multicolored lights swarming robbery scenes. Know what I mean? In ROTC, we train for the streets, leaving English as the way that we converse with our peeps. And foreign language is a slang that we derive from our pain, and though it changes, it's the same, dignified or profane. Biology is where we face our tribulations and trials, and our predetermined fate is in our faith or denial. Psychology is where we casually relate with the soul, psychologically evaluating and gaining control. We go to lunch when we depressed or need to be fed. My dog's hungry, and we eat flesh for pieces of bread. And until you done that, you heat rest with 3 to the head, ain't nothing fun. Even recess, you sleep or you dead. So we mix the art of war with the law of physics. Cock the 4 and watch it lift you off the floor when it's spit it. The judge will be the vice principal. Suspension is prison. You might be good for a strike, but ain't no skipping detention. These hard knocks. So, with this particular piece, I kind of talked about the life that I live, and I was accustomed to some of the experiences that I faced in my former life. I represent a population of individuals in this country who often either get overlooked or get a lot of light shed on them for the wrong reasons. And I'm speaking specifically about returning citizens. I'm an individual who was born and raised in Detroit, came from a 2-parent household, went to college, but still managed to find myself in the streets and found my way into prison as a result of some of the bad choices and decisions that I made in my life. And after an 18-and-a-half-year stint in prison, and I decided to change my life and focus on the things that would be more conducive to being a productive citizen and doing the things that I know would make my mother and my parents proud, I decided to turn over a new leaf. And so once I was released from prison approximately a year and a half ago, with training and meditation and, self-evaluation and all of the things that come with, changing your life around, I actually decided that I wanted to do something better. So when I came home, I had already prepared several things. I had written 14 children's books. I had started 2 clothing companies. I started 3 nonprofit organizations. I'm constantly evolving as we speak. I decided that I wanted to make something better for my life and my family, so I went to welding school. During my time in welding school, I became familiar with Local 25 ironworkers, and at that time, I decided that I was going ahead and apply, take the test, and become an ironworker. And you know, a few months later, I did just that, and so I'm a proud Local 25 ironworker at this point right now. And I say this because I am really, really so not only proud of myself, but proud of the other individuals who have helped place me in the position that I am, because I know that there was once upon a time when I really didn't care about anything, even though I had enough intelligence and wherewithal to produce and be whatever it is I wanted to be. I just chose to do the opposite, right? And excuse me for 1 second. So what I actually did was, this is a little history real quick. Professor Drous, this is like really one of my good friends. I met Professor Drous actually during my time while I was in prison. And he would come up doing a program called Inside Out classes, where students from the University of Michigan were allowed to come in and interact with a select group of individuals in the prison system who had been evaluated to fit the criteria for this particular program. And after a stint of these studies in sociology, you know, we grew a relationship, and it turned out to be what it is. I came home, and I do want to say this. Even though I was incarcerated for 18 and a half years, I was one of those rare individuals who was actually in prison for a crime that I didn't commit. Nevertheless, I accepted responsibility for the life that I was living, which ultimately placed me in a position to have been involved in what I was involved in. So I say that to say that I did manage to take Professor Drous's course, utilize some of those principles, and I actually made it home before the time I was actually supposed to be home. So that was a great thing. So it goes without saying, when Professor Drous asked me to be here, I decided that it would be no problem. So I wrote a short piece in relation to what he asked me, and the question was basically, what does being a Local 25 ironworker union member mean to me? It says, I was recently asked by someone, what does being a Local 25 union member really mean to me? And I replied emphatically, strength, hope, truth, pride, love, and loyalty. Strength because of its intense, long-term, solidified foundation. Hope because of its reverently incomparable power and fortification. Truth symbolizes its framework, for its body is but of pure, ever-broadening singular unit, whereas one's presence, purpose, and pride uses such boundlessness as its own personal conduit. Love is like an intrinsic, deep-rooted adhesive binding each and every one of us to its miraculous magnetic core. And it is only there, and only there, we'll find such loyalty, which all of us are actually here for. And that's what actually means the most to me about being a Local 25 union member. Thank you.
Everybody give it up again for Vic. Go with Victory Walker. We've been hearing more from him. And